which is what is the bike fitters? What are bike fitters? I know you've got a real passion for cycling. Without going right back to the beginning, because we're going to do that in chapter 2. But what are the bike fitters, and what is having a bike fitted? What does that mean? Is it like a suit?
So a bike or triathlon bikes, and the process of a bike fit is to find out about the customer. We need to know about them. Are they a full bill of health? Have they got any break sprains, pulls, tears, dislocations, anything that may affect the final outcome of a bike fitting, and why they want to have a bike fitting. And in lots of cases, or the majority of people that book in for a bike fitting, they're booking in because they get some form of ache, pain, pressure, discomfort when they ride the bike. So we need to find out how they're struggling, why they're struggling in that way. And the bike fit process allows us to gather that information. We then do biomechanical assessments. So we find out if there's anything that the rider has, leg length discrepancies, they may have flexibility issues. We can do saddle fits, we do full cleat fittings and shoe fittings. And then we get them on the bike and we perform observations. We take full measurements, laser guided measurements. And out the other end, we get a bike fit that is suited to the customer's needs and requirements so that they're comfortable on the bike. They can sustain long periods of time on the bike. And the byproduct of that is that there's more enjoyment. They can ride with more power and efficiency, better handling, better climbing. And you know, we're kind of increasing their performance and overall enjoyment on the bike. So it's quite a process.
Wow.
And most bike fits take around about 2 hours.
Okay.
But the great thing about the bike fitters is we go to the customer's house. So there's no need for them to worry about traveling with all their kit, their gear, their bikes, time away from their home. You know, people have got such busy lives these days. So
That's
the
great.
kind of worry about traveling to a location, we take all of that away. We arrive at the customer's house. We can set up. We perform the full bike fit on any bike that they have or all of the bikes that they have. And then we leave and they've not had to go anywhere. So it's quite an efficient service.
Fantastic. No, you know, I often think when I get in my car that it would be good to have someone to tell me where to put the seat for a comfortable journey. You know, was it that you were a passionate cyclist and just uncomfortable and you just got that perfect position and thought, here's a business? What was the story at the beginning?
Yeah. So this all started when myself and Rachel, my wife, and our children, we lived in the UAE.
Okay.
And I invested a little bit into a bike store out there, a bike store called Revolution Cycles based in Motor City. And I was racing for the team. So I was the team sprinter for Revolution Audi out there. I've won some races, I lost some races, but I was okay. And there was a store across the road which was owned by who ended up being quite a good friend of mine, a local chap called Khalid, and their store was the Specialized and Pinarello concept store for the UAE. Beautiful shop. And he said, look, we've got Specialized coming over to do their body geometry fit training. Would you like to come and take part? And I thought, well, a freebie, you know, because it costs a lot of money to train as a bike fitter. And this chap was incredibly generous, and I took him up on his offer, and I trained with Specialized body geometry. And then the natural progression moved over to a brand called Retool, which was more of like the digital type fitting. And I said, well, I'll come, but you must send me an invoice. And I never got an invoice for it. So that was also incredibly generous. And then I was quite heavily involved with Bianchi, which is the world's oldest bike brand. And I trained on 2 of the systems that they were using. One was in their factory in Treviglio, where all of the Bianchi bikes are assembled and put together, which was called Bicky Support. And that was done by a chap that's been doing bike fits in that particular room for 50 years. And there were all photographs around the room of Felice Giamondi and Coppi and Pantani, some of the most famous riders in the history of, you know, the big races, the Tour de France, which is currently on now. And then I did another training session with bikefitting.com at their flagship store in Milan. And then I did another one with so I've trained on 6 of the major systems, and quite fortunately I've not paid for any of it. I've not stolen any of these, but it's been a really good journey, because I found it was just something I was really interested in, being a rider, you know, how you can really make fine tune adjustments to someone's bike, and it can result in just so much more comfort, power, efficiency, control. So I really got into it, and I was fitting in a couple of stores in the UAE, and then myself and Rachel and the children moved back to the UK in 2016, and I thought, this is something I can do here, but with a twist. So I can do it, rather than people coming to me, I'll go to them, you know, and I'll save them the time and the worry of leaving their house, and I'll go to their house. And it very quickly became very busy, to the point that, you know, some weeks I was doing between 25 and 35 bike fits, and really struggling to scratch the itch, really. And I was introduced to a couple of chaps, and I did their bike fits. And those guys are the guys that Barry's just mentioned. So Danny and Mark Schweiger, very successful guys who live not far up the road from me. And it got to the point that this is just becoming too busy. There's too much, and the kind of net that was being cast here for people wanting the mobile aspect of the bike fit, it was just too difficult for me to get to. Well, you're mobile. I live in Leeds. I live in Birmingham. I'm in Nottingham. I'm just like, I just don't come that far. And I think it was a friend of my wife. She'd franchised her business. And I thought, I bet Danny and Mark may know something about this, because I knew what they did. They were involved in licensing of products. And I thought, I'll have a chat with them. I'd actually just been to Danny's house to do his cleats. And I said, look, what do you know about franchising? Because this is the predicament I've got. You know, instead of saying no to all of this business, I'd really like to be saying yes to it. And they said, well, we don't really know too much about franchising, but we do know of a guy who's been very successful in the franchise world. And we sat down in a coffee shop, myself, Barry, Danny and Mark, and a little bit like a Dragon's Den type situation. And they loved the idea that they could see the business that I'd done, and they could see where we could take this. And here we are today.